Streaming live. So
Broadcast, baby.
broadcast. All right. So we're live on here. Uh
Are
sometimes
you are we on the backers page on Facebook?
yeah. Facebook, LinkedIn and YouTube.
Wicked, bro.
Yeah. So welcome, Satish Bala. This might be your second or third time joining me on some form of a this would definitely be the first live. The
Yeah,
last one
man.
or two times were definitely recorded. So
Yeah,
uh
no, it's always good to catch up, bro. We when we hang out, our conversations go all over the place, but always, great value, and it ends up being something that we always like. We should have recorded that call.
this one will be recorded. Exactly.
Yeah, man. So you're out
So
in BC, bro. How's the everybody got there in one piece?
we all got here in one piece. We're in sunny Vancouver and made the trip. We're here for 6 months. We'll see how it goes. So it's exciting times. Kind of pick up and move on, right? So
You're not missing the snowstorm today for sure.
not at all. There's a little snow here. It's about 2 degrees, but it's pretty beautiful. So it's fun times. So excited to a bit of a change. I don't know if you saw one of my TikToks was sort of like, wanted to make some changes, start doing some different habits. I know you talk about stuff like that as well, about making changes, about, changing your life, changing your habits, kind of all that stuff, right? I've seen a whole bunch of
Change is constant, man. Change is constant.
right.
It's happening on a molecular level inside our body every single day. So why wouldn't we adopt it as a lifestyle? Cells are dying and giving birth every single day. Your skin is stretching. Your brain is growing. Everything about you as a biology is constantly growing. Yeah, as humans, we try to get to a point of comfort and no growth. It doesn't make any sense. So, we are designed to grow. We're designed to evolve, and the sooner we embrace it, the less stressful it becomes.
Nice. Razor for Life on TikTok just said I got you 1,000 likes. So check your TikTok. Did you just get over 1,000 likes? But I think it's 1,000 followers. So you got to follow. No fear, no excuses. Keep commenting on the TikTok, because while I'm live, all the people that are following me will be able to like you or follow you, right? So
Yeah, I just got into it. Like, I've been
how's it
on
going?
Instagram. I've been on Instagram my entire music career. Like, I run a music company,
Yeah.
artist development. We are the largest South Asian outdoor music festival in North America. So we went all in on Instagram for like the last, 8-10 years, and 27,000 people follow us, and that's our engine. But I find TikTok to be a lot more intuitive, and the content style and the creativity, and so I've been slowly shifting our brand over. So it's only been about a month where I've been online trying to understand how does the algorithm work. So what have you learned so far, man?
So just Desi Fest is what you're referring to, right? Is one of the things you guys. So I mean, I've watched. You and I met, just to kind of give everyone a bit of a background. Literally, like, I think it was like 2 weeks before COVID, like beginning of March, end of February, at a conference. We were both speakers at a conference about funding and all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, so Desi Fest. So you've been running that. Do you go live with that? Do you do
Yeah,
live
so
streams or?
we've been doing hybrid for the last 2 years because of the
Of
pandemic,
course.
but we are ultimately a outdoor music festival, right? And so it happens at Young Dundas Square, which is for
Yeah.
Canadian, and Toronto for Americans is like, Times Square.
Mecca,
Um,
yes, the Times Square of Toronto, exactly,
you
yes.
know what I mean? And so we get 100,000 people over a day and a half, just, partying, and really it's a cultural festival. But more importantly, it's a show that shows people you can break down your own stereotypes. You could
Right.
be a doctor and a rocker. You could be full of tattoos and a genius. So much of our perceptions are so fake and frontal. You see somebody and make a perception change. And so through music, we've been trying to break down these stereotypes. We've been trying to break down these barriers, and in doing so, we somehow become the number one festival in the country. And so being online now is a new experience, because I'm a DJ MC. I grew up DJing basement parties, man. So I need that audience. I need that mic. I need that touch point. So it's been interesting for me to really like learn how to feel the energy through like a Zoom or Facebook Live or Instagram live show. So, but we're back this year. We're booked June 2nd and June 3rd at the Square. It's gonna be crazy. I've got 2 years of pent up excitement and energy. It's gonna be one of the craziest, best years.
Nice, nice. So
So you
you're
got to get your
asking,
ass back by June
well,
3rd.
yeah, I'll have to come back for a weekend or whatever, right? It's on the weekend or what days
Yeah,
did you
June
say?
3rd, June 3rd, Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday? Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah, man. We have,
You're
it's,
asking about TikTok. So that's awesome. I mean, everyone that's there, Desi Fest. I mean, we could talk about a couple of the cool things that you're looking at doing. You know, from an artist perspective, just getting the word out. You know, you mentioned, I think you and I had a conversation about, you know, certain cultural barriers, especially for like female artists or certain cultural like and things that I don't even know and I don't even want to speak on, but like maybe sects or different people within, you know, the I guess Southeast Asian, East Asian community, right, where, you know, people aren't recognized for their talents and maybe are pushed down. So you're able to like allow,
yeah, I mean,
or
you
even
know,
talk about the avatar aspect, right, of maybe
yeah,
like
and
having
well,
people
you
not.
know, for a ton of cultures, especially cultures that immigrate, you know, and Canada is an immigrant, you know, market. We tend to bring our survival needs first, and survival is usually a, you know, a good home, a good job, and a dependable salary, right? And the
Right.
way to get that, the blueprint that we all know is go to school, get a degree, get a job, 9 to 5, stay there for as long as you can. So when that's the mindset of immigrants getting
Is
off
that
the
what we're
plane,
doing right now? Is that what we're doing right now? I don't think so, right?
it's not. And so when
Yeah.
you have that blueprint as something that you pass down to a generation that doesn't want that, we want, you know, to follow our passion. We want to follow purposeful driven opportunities. That blueprint clashes. And so it's important for us to recognize that and then create opportunities, create space where folks that don't fall into that blueprint are equally valuable. And the folks that want to get that, like my brother is exactly opposite to me, man. He's a, you know, MBA student working on his PhD, 9 to 5, you know, Fortune 500 company. That's cool for him. Nothing's wrong with it. I'm on the opposite side, and we both have a place and a purpose.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's I very similar. It's very similar. My younger brother, CFA, works for a bank, one of the banks. You know, senior manager, makes good money. Right? Is, you know, sort of just, it works hard and all, but, you know, not the life I would want to be in. But
Yeah, they're
anyways,
probably friends.
what's that?
They're probably friends.
Yeah, they probably know each other. Yeah. Exactly. They get along well, I'm sure. So let's talk about the TikTok algorithms, because I'm live here on TikTok. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So we're kind of 4 ways live. I did this the other day just so you guys are watching. So we're live here on a couple different platforms. So you were asking a little bit, and I think this is interesting because I think a lot of people talk about social media. A lot of people are looking to use it, right? Like what has been your experience trying to jump into TikTok? Because you said you've only been on it for, you know, what, a month or so, right? So how have you found it? Like, what are you finding? What are your thoughts on it so far?
Yeah,
So good?
the biggest thing for me is the creativity on TikTok is a whole new level, man. It's a
Yeah.
whole new level. You know, for Instagram, we needed to create content outside of Instagram and then bring it in, right? But with TikTok, just the transitions, the filters, they've taken pieces of Snapchat that is like really addictive. And I find I can create a ton of content that's exciting and relatable just in their app. I don't need anything else,
Yeah.
which is mind blowing. Like, you know, I've created organic content that's, as I'm testing, you know, the style and the format, and hit maybe 300-400. And then every now and then I'll do a reaction or some sort of a cool filter thing with a Q&A, and those will get twice as much. Or I'll use an audio that I like that's trending, and it gets 3 times as much views, which is incredible because now you get to not just create, but you can co-create with other people's content by duetting or stitching. It's incredible, man. Like, you know, my brain can't comprehend like the different things you can do.
I mean, yeah, I love it. I think, I agree with the addictive part. I think you get a little bit, especially if you're just kind of like engulfed in all the different content, you start watching things, it can get a little bit overwhelming at times. And it's like that dopamine rush every, 7, 10, 25, 30 seconds, right? Just next video, next video, next video, crazy creativity,
Yeah.
crazy like ways of thinking. Like one of the things that I've found for me personally, it just, so and then just kind of, I jumped on it sort of fall of 2019 is when I kind of first started. I made first video right around the Raptors winning the championship there. I think the first video I did on TikTok was kind of like Raptors championship or whatever. And then when COVID hit, we started doing some of the, following some of the dance stuff and doing some of the stupid things or, whatever, and did a bunch of crazy videos like that. And then I realized I was
Don't lie. Did you do dance videos?
Yeah.
I'm going to go creep now.
Go creep back through. There's some, not so much dance. I mean, I did have a shattered hip at the time. So limited mobility, but there was, definitely like more creative or like artistic, type of, the sort of like mini skits and shit.
Yeah. That's awesome.
A bunch of those early on. So, but I just found that, and this is what I said in one of the videos that I did in this sort of journey where I think I'm on day 18 now, was I don't want to, if I'm going to be like kind of, the Gary V sort of like, document, I also don't want to be spending all of my time, like camera in hand, like, sort of not in the moment. Right. I feel like a lot of people with social media, if you want to be, that sort of like, I look at Casey Neistat was sort of always been, I look at sort of the creativity he's able to bring forward.
He's the GOAT, man. He's the GOAT. Yeah, that's the guy who got me into vlogging.
Exactly. Right. But I also look at it, I'm like, do I really want to like spend so much time documenting instead of just living? Like, I think that's where a lot of people, especially creators, they maybe get caught in that trap where, yeah, it's great to vlog and yeah, it's, you can be really interesting. But you also want to temper that with, there's other shit in life that you got to get done. Right. So for me, I'm trying to find that happy balance. I don't know about you. What are your thoughts on that?
No, that's a good point. I mean, look, I'm not in it for the social currency, right? Like, I think I do enough in my life where I get that social currency, I get that dopamine hit, whether it's my not-for-profit work, Desi Fest, any of those kind of things. I actually started becoming more personal and more open on social media to document my thoughts for my kids. Let me break that down, okay? I grew up in a household where I didn't have the same relationship with my dad like you see on TV. He wasn't schooling me. He wasn't teaching me the ropes. It was, whatever I did wrong, they yelled at me at it. I got my occasional beating, but there wasn't any positive lessons. And he died too early, in his early 60s. And so we never had the chance to like learn from like his life. And then I had a bit of a cancer scare when I turned, in my late 30s, and I realized, shit, how I'm going to interact with my kids is different than what previous generations were. And so how can I leave my kids my wisdom? And then I said, well, if they're going to be online more and they're going to follow daddy, then why can't I create my narrative around life and lessons and belief systems and spirituality as a documentation through social media, which will make it easier for them to consume than me sit down with them at the porch going, okay, son, daughter, let me tell you about life. That moment, if it happens, is beautiful, but I wanted my voice to be part of their lives. And so I started documenting. I'm sorry?
You want your voice to be part of their thought process.
Yeah, because, I didn't know how to get it from my dad, and I don't know how to give it to my kids, but I know they're online. I know they're following folks to learn about life. This is how the next generation is consuming content. So I've taken, my thoughts, my ideas, my life, my spirituality, my belief systems, and I've started to put it out there. And I've seen it, like, I've been in my room and I hear my voice in my daughter's room, and I like stand outside and listen, and she's watching my vlogs or she's listening to my Instagram or TikTok, and it's leaving a fingerprint. And that's all I wanted, man. If it helps the rest of the world, even better. But I started all this for an audience of two.
Right. And so, what has your daughter mentioned anything
I can see, yeah. I mean, I can, it's tough. Like you got kids, man. Nobody gives you a blueprint for how to parent, how to motivate, how to interact with your kids. And so, I believe that if my daughter gets exposed and my son gets exposed to, my vision and my thoughts along with everybody else, they're gonna take pieces from everybody. And I just wanted to be in that consideration set, however possible. And if there's no formal way to sit down and share my life, well, at least through my content and my social media and my behaviors, they can sort of, absorb a little bit. And then I leave a little bit of me behind. You know what I mean? Like none of us know where any of this is going to be, how long this is going to last.
100%. And here's a comment. Can you read the screen?
Yeah.
Quick Ryan, buddy. Yeah, he good quote here. So this is that you're asking about some I guess tips, right? So on TikTok, they want the I guess what do you call it?
Don't repurpose. Don't repurpose is a big one.
Organic content, right? Which is key. So definitely opening up and being yourself. I mean, everyone puts on a bit of a front. I mean, everyone, regardless of who you are. I mean, I do it in various situations. One of the things that I've learned, or maybe I think has been chipped away, is that I don't give a fuck at this point, right? Yeah. Like I've the first few times I went live, with early on with the 3HL and kind of I was doing things with the mobility shop. Like we're talking sort of 2014, 15, sort of in that time frame. And it was sort of like nerve wracking, like, oh, what do I do now? I don't give a shit, right? Like, this is fine. I'm comfortable doing this. So it's more, I think, the ability to kind of create or engage with somebody at a deeper level. And like you said, being able to direct it to someone like your daughter or a more personal level makes it important for you. And at that point, then it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 viewers or 2 and maybe one other person that just gains from it, because to you that's quality, right?
Yeah. So, and I think that's one of the fallacies of social media, right? The way first version of social media was created was instant gratification. And you and I know, we've been around long enough. Really important things in life take time. A good bottle of wine takes time. Change your body takes time. Good habits take time. Building a startup takes time. Deep, loving relationships take time. And when we got trained in version 1 of social media for short-term, dopamine hit with appreciation, with the likes and the thumbs up and the comments, we started to create content looking for that gratification.
Right.
And when I have the F you attitude now, it's less about, I don't care what I do or who listens to. I'm not chasing instant gratification. So this piece of content, we might have 5 people watching it, but 3 months from now, something you said is going to change somebody's life. And I care about that moment more than who's watching right now and who's going to hit like.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. One of the things that I find very interesting is like just what you just said. I don't know who's watching. I see people have come in and out, whatever, have a bit of an audience. You have a bit of an audience. We've sort of shared it. But I'll talk to somebody on the phone and they'll be like, hey, I was watching your video and I'm like, okay, what did I say? What was it about? I don't know. I don't remember, but they're like, oh, it was cool. It was this, it was that. Other people though, and this is the flip side of it. Other people will come and say, hey, you're people think you're an idiot. People think you're this. I read a quote that it wasn't a comment on mine, but it might as well have been on one of my posts. It's better to be thought of as a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. And I believe that's completely false. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Like, I think let me talk. Let me at least express what I have to say, what my thoughts are, and then we can, then you can make an informed decision. Maybe I am a fool. Who knows? In your opinion, but if I choose to remain silent and you just assume that I am, I don't think that's a great way to live life. So
no, and I think to your point from earlier, human beings are so complex, man. Like our mindset, whether we like it or not, is driven by more emotion than rationale. You
Right.
know, just before somebody sees us speak, they could have had a really crappy drive-through experience, and that impacts our relationship all of a sudden. You know what I mean? And so I've now sort of assumed that whatever your opinion of me, good or bad,
Right.
is a byproduct of your bias and filter that I have no control over. And I also know it could change in an instant. So whatever you tell me, I love this or I hate you, I appreciate both because I have no idea where it's coming from. So I don't get too hung up on like, oh my gosh, I'm so good. And I don't get too hung up if I don't meet your minimum, requirements for entertainment value.
Yeah.
I'm just putting out what's in me. So that eliminates the stress of trying to figure out who likes what, because we're a global community. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I put a post up on my TikTok, I think it was yesterday, this whole notion of like fake it till you make it. That was such an old school mindset when internet and accessibility wasn't around. Of course, I can fake it if nobody knows what's happening in the world. Yeah, do it anymore. Everything is real time. And so I can't fake it to make it. I just got to do what I got to do and not care about your bias.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I think we're gonna be doing this. I want to get your TikTok so we can do this double live. But let's keep doing this show on a regular basis. But let's talk. I think for those that are watching, my fans, I don't actually. Let me retract that. Not my fans. People that are somehow connected to me. I don't have any fans, but let's just. That's.
I legit have fans, so I can say it.
What? You legit have, exactly. You've been on stage for, yeah, exactly, right. You've got legit fans, but no. So you obviously you have a couple different ventures, right? So Schoolio, we talked about Desi Fest. You've obviously worked with I think 30 to 50 probably ventures throughout your career, startups and various entrepreneurs. So help them through various different, through the Bala Group and whatnot, right? So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about your experiences, and I'd love to then kind of just hear what your thoughts are on the startup world right now. I mean, a lot of people are, we talk about the 9 to 5 or getting out of the 9 to 5 or that whole idea.
Yeah, that blueprint. Yeah, man.
No longer the blueprint. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, listen, I'll start with the second one first because I think it's exciting. Never has there been a time like we have now where it is the most opportunistic time to get into entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship for me at its core is the ability to find an opportunity in chaos. And some of the greatest companies, I'm talking about ideas, came out of a moment of chaos, right? And so today, the world has got the most amount of chaos I've ever felt in my life, bro.
Literally, like on the brink of potentially World War III.
I'm telling you, every possible touch point is getting disrupted. Every category is getting disrupted. Yeah. Every blueprint is getting busted open. Every market is looking for innovation. So if you've ever had an idea and you're not sure if it's the right time, this is the right time, because this is the first moment in time in my 47 years where there's so much chaos with opportunity baked into it. So I think this is the perfect time, whether it's a side hustle that can make you a couple $1,000s extra a month, or a career shift or a life shift. If you're ever going to try it, now's the time. So you got nothing to lose. You just got to jump in, because your worst case is you already have a blueprint for what you used to do. Go get a job. There'll always be another job. You know what I'm saying? So if you're ever going to take the jump, now's the time to jump. Shout out to Philip.
Yeah, Philip, shout out. I don't know if he's referring to this comment, what specifically, but
Philip is another OG, man. We got to bring him. Philip, CEO of Pumpkin Cart, amazing new company. Shouldn't say new.
Philip.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
we're homies. Not a fan, we're homies. And he's got a great startup, and we're partnering up for Desi Fest, and he's building a really cool Uber competitor with the kind of food that I want to eat, the South Indian food, the cultural food. And there's only so much burger I can eat, and he's got the best product. So and now they got alcohol they deliver too. It's crazy. But this is what I mean by opportunity and
There you go,
chaos.
Philip. Awesome.
Big shout out to him.
Yeah.
But on the other side, the reason I do what I do today is entrepreneurship for me 20 years ago was the only way to understand what am I capable of, because I graduated from Ryerson with a degree in computer science that told the world academically I'm a computer engineer, but nobody from elementary to high school to university taught me who I am, like what am I made of, right? And I remember, when you look at like, sumo wrestlers, big dudes, and everything about them comes from their core. They get into the right stance, you can knock them over. Right. And so I looked at my life at 20 going, okay, my upper body, my academic is good. I've got a degree, I'm an engineer, but my foundation is so weak. So I can get pushed around in corporate world, or I can flop. So how do I strengthen my foundation? So entrepreneurship for me was the greatest gift to explore. Who am I? What makes me tick? What do I do the things I do? What is risk to me? What is success to me? What is happiness to me? And in many ways, I'm still answering, because all of those questions, there's no answer, it's degrees of answer. And as I got older,
spectrum,
I've got more into the spectrum, and I'm more confident today how to answer those questions. And the byproduct is I've had 1,000 failed ideas, a few really good ideas, good market, good chaos, good opportunity that define me in the market. But I love entrepreneurship, and the space that I love even more to niche down is that 0 to 1. That first 12 months when an idea gets into market, the foundational change the person has to go through is beautiful for me. It's like seeing the cocoon and the butterfly. It's beautiful. So I built an entire business model around how to support those folks, how to invest in those folks, how to bring more ideas to the market, and that's what I want to do, man. If I can empower one other person in that 12-month period to put a bit more confidence, self-belief, break down a tiny bit of the barrier, big ideas that fail, not because of the market, but the founder gave up too soon.
So so interesting that I have 2 or 3 things that I was at the beginning. I wanted to ask you sort of what was that first thing that kind of got, because for me, I'll admit I sort of meandered through the first probably 10, 12 years of my career, unsure as to why I didn't have the footing or the foundation. I didn't have an engineering degree. I had a phys ed degree, went back and got an MBA, but, kind of meandered through really uncertain pardon my French, but what the fuck was I really going to do, right? I was going to be a gym teacher, didn't do that. And then it was like, and entrepreneurship was never really, in my world, was never presented as an opportunity. I mean, I look back on, times where I thought, oh, maybe I'll buy real estate, or, in university, I thought, hey, maybe I'll buy the house we're all living in. I kicked myself. They were under 100K down in Niagara area, right? Like 90K, you could buy a house. You could put $5,000 down and own like a fucking 6-bedroom house. At the time, they were charging $400 to $500 a room.
Yeah.
I've never really even done the math, but you do the math, that's probably like 3-4 times your monthly mortgage payment, right?
But listen, back then, nobody taught us about passive income, right? I look back and I go, man, yes, I went to university, I got great education, but the guys that brought up all the parking lots in Toronto made more money than me, period. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, this is what I mean by like, we as in me come from a generation which is the first immigrant family. We focused on survival, and survival had a very simple blueprint: go to school, get a job, stay there as long as you can, don't fuck around, get promoted, and in 20 years from now, god damn, your life is going to be good. That model doesn't work, period.
So what made you, this is what I was you mentioned sort of early on, what gave you that drive to early on choose entrepreneurship? Like, who was your inspiration, or what was your inspiration 20 years ago to jump into entrepreneurship?
Man, it's poverty, bro. poverty. You know, when I tell my friends, they laugh. I grew up in Scarborough. I love my friends, and so many of them get kicked out of their homes for doing the wrong thing. Okay, joining gangs, getting into fights, dropping out of school. I got kicked out because I graduated without a job and I wanted to start a business because I didn't know what I was good at. My parents actually kicked me out. They're like, "Look, if you're not going to follow the blueprint, you got to get, you got to get out." And all of a sudden, I'm going, "Okay, I don't know anything about really making money. I had a job at McDonald's when I was 18. That's about it. I now have to pay rent. I got to take care of myself.
Right.
I need to survive." And poverty and survival instinct teaches you things much faster, man. I learned how to pitch. I learned how to make money. I learned how to become a salesperson. I learned all that really quickly out of necessity. And along the process of getting those, I loved who I was turning into. This introvert kid really was an extrovert and hiding. I was like, huh, okay, so this side of me is nice. This side of me is nice. This side of me is nice. And once you see versions of you that you have always aspired to be and you become that person, there's no turning back.
Yeah. So you
But
sort
I
of
never
like
go back.
uncovered like little secrets, little
That's it. And that for me was like the greatest gift because, when I look at the kid I was when I got here from Singapore and the kid that graduated at 20, and I look at myself today, I'm like, man, it's a night and day difference. But the beauty is this version was always in there, just without an outlet to come out. And so entrepreneurship for me, as scary as it is, gave me that playground to come out and my own rules and my own presence. And once you come out and you see who you can really become, and most of us don't even get that glimpse till much later in life because we don't take risks until much later in life. So you get that glimpse early on and you see who you can really be. That's addictive. That's addictive. And then you chase that over and over and over. And 20 years later, the 47-year-old me, I can get on a plane, go to Brazil and speak English to a Portuguese audience of 2,000 people, which is a real story like this with no fear.
Right.
That for me is what entrepreneurship is about.
I said, and I saw one of your posts, and I've seen sort of, we were talking about the habits thing. One of the things that I've seen, and I mentioned this to my wife this morning, is, I look at it almost as, and people talk about the Bitcoin, and we could go into crypto another episode and into the metaverse or whatever, but, and all the things that we're doing on the fun side of crypto and blockchain. But this whole concept of like the Bitcoin, charts basically, right? Where it's like these massive sort of like ups and then massive downs, like 80-90% retracing. And I look at my life, but at the end of the day, it's sort of like it's constantly, from left to right. If you look at the bigger picture, it's, I don't know if I'm going left to right this way or whatever way on the camera, but it's always going up, even though it has these massive downs, right? And that's why I think, I look at some of the, talk about successes or failures, you have a bit of success, but then you retrace, but then the low never goes as low as the previous low, right? And the high
100%.
is always higher. And I think where a lot of people, we talked about our brothers, and I love my brother, and I'm assuming you love your brother. So shout out
most days.
Family. What's that? Most days. Yeah,
Most
exactly.
days.
No. All days I love them. I may not like them. I mean, we may not see eye to eye at times, but always love them. But no, it's sort of that progression where, I look at, like you said, where I am today and where I was, let's say even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, 2 months ago, right, is so much further, where now, like you said, you can step in front of a stage. We were just talking about, I can be live, do whatever I want, feel comfortable. I can, you obviously knew how to code. I'm starting to learn how to code, which was one of my objectives, to kind of build out sites and different things. So it's that constant progression where I think a lot of people that don't step out of their comfort zone or comfort area will never experience, and they'll just be
100%.
in that rut, and they'll never know who they are, because you find out who you are, like you just said, more about yourself in times of change, uncertainty, difficulty than you ever will in just, easy sailing kind of passive,
That is it.
right?
And how boring is the other version? Like, how boring is the other
Yeah,
version, man? Like, when you look back, what do you like? If everything was hunky dory and handed to you, on a silver platter, like, how boring is that narrative? We're supposed to get scars. We're supposed to get amazing memories. We're supposed to celebrate the good moments and the bad moments. And I've learned and matured enough to appreciate both. And there's this idea of like, hindsight 2020, right? and
yeah,
and I think there's a difference in looking back versus zooming out. And what you talked about is the real process. When you zoom out, you get to see a different pattern. When you look back, we look back, most of the time we're reminded of the bad shit.
right.
How many good things do you remember when you look backwards? Because past is like, your fear working to remind you don't fuck up the future. But
Yeah.
when you zoom out, you see a bigger picture. So I've learned how not to look backwards, but to zoom out as often and go, yes, there's challenges today, but man, I got through it 5 years ago, or I made it 10 years ago. Why am I going to doubt myself now? Like, you are your number one champion and you are your number one proof point in life. So if you've done it even once, even if it's a long time ago, you got the DNA already to do it again.
Yeah.
This should be like Sunday church, B. That's what we got to do. We got to call it the Startup Church Sunday mornings.
Church? Well, are we gonna do it? Oh, I was just gonna say, do you want to do this on a regular basis? We should start.
I'm down, man. I love speaking with you, and energy is good. And anytime I can get to share, like I said, I love it. So I think as we were talking, I was like, man, this is so like spiritual and life. And this is the Startup Church.
Startup Church. I'll just shy a little bit away from the church word. I'm not too keen on that, but no, I get what I don't. The spirituality. Let's call it startup spirituality. The spirit of starting up.
There you go. There you go. So it's a blessing, man. Like, to be able to live a life where your stories can become your scars and your pains and whatever. Because when you experience it, it's hard. And then a few years later, you're like, that's a lesson. And then if it's worthy enough to be shared with others, it becomes even more powerful. So I'm just excited to be able to share this crazy life that I'm living.
Let me ask you, what's it's an interesting point. What's one big lesson that you've kind of had in your career as from a like your own experiences, or maybe coaching, working with somebody, or just in general? Like, what's something that you've kind of
I can share, because I talked about it in one of my TikToks. I've realized that I'm mentally much stronger than I give myself credit for. Right. So much of this entrepreneurship game is about mental toughness. And I'm guilty of comparing myself to the Gary V's and the Elons of the world, and you wonder, like, man, do I have the mental toughness to grow? Do I have the mental toughness to handle spotlight and thousands of staff? And I was reminded this week with something that happened with Schoolio that I am mentally strong, and that I am capable of that level of operating. So I think we somehow sometimes we underestimate our potential if nobody else is sort of coaching you or telling you about it. And so I've started to really pay attention to my own potential, and finally like be aligned with it. You know what I mean? Like, there's no duality. Like, I am going to do it because I know I can do it, and I'm mentally strong enough to get it done.
What would you say? I mean, I was some people ask me, like, what would you say to somebody starting out, or what would you say to somebody who's in a bit of a rut? Like, what is advice you would give to somebody? What would you say, sort of your piece of advice to somebody that's maybe doesn't know, like, that you have that capability? Oh, I kind of froze there. You have that skill, or that mindset. Like, what would you say to somebody that doesn't, maybe can't look inward and see that in themselves?
Yeah, I got this from Gary Vee, man, and while I'm a fan of his content, not all of it resonates with me, but this one did. At our core, Justin, none of us is guaranteed tomorrow.
Right.
Like, that's truth. I'm not making it up. We all feel like we're going to wake up tomorrow, but no living person on this planet rich, poor, beautiful. This doesn't. None of us have a 2-day guarantee in life. All of us have the same 1-day guarantee. And so, if all of this is a 1-day guarantee, what are you really afraid of? So what if you messed it up? So what if it fails? So what if she leaves you? So what if you lose all the money today? If you wake up tomorrow morning, you've got every chance to try again, man.
Do it all
And
over.
as soon as that clicked, I lost any sense of fear. I'm pragmatic, I'm careful, but I'm not afraid.
Right.
And that is what I hope everybody can learn as soon as possible in their lives, whatever that soon means. It could be 60 for somebody, it could be 20 for me. But the minute you truly understand that none of us, no matter how rich we can become, how hard we work today, have a 2-day guarantee, everything becomes a little simpler.
So it's interesting. I mean, obviously, I was very close. Shot 3 times doesn't no guarantees in life, right? So spend a week on life support. So having been through that, I can very much attest to the fact that nothing is given, nothing. You shouldn't take anything for granted. So 100%. So okay, don't want to. I appreciate you obviously, Joe. I think why don't we? I was thinking to Friday Night Lights.
I'm down.
Fridays we could do it. I keep it to half hour, 45 minutes, 15 minutes. I want to get you on TikTok and be able to go live, right? So we can.
Yeah. Listen, you've given me new motivation now. I didn't really have a sense of urgency around TikTok, but now I've got a sense of urgency. So give me a couple of weeks and I'll get to that minimum number we need, and I'm motivated now.
Well, I think for me it was one video just blew up. I sat at like 250 roughly for forever. I mean, I kind of went from 0 to. That's the cool thing about TikTok, I think, that no one talks about. You can get like 50 to 100 views on TikTok with no followers. You can get like you can get a couple of thousand views if you have a video. You whatever you call it, duet somebody that's a cool video like that. Instantly gets you more followers, gets you more views. You can sort of tag along almost in other people's content, right? So
listen, I've got a new milestone now. You've turned the heat up on me, so let's go do this.
Let's do it. But we can still do it on here, and I'll be live on TikTok, and we can do it on these ones as well. I mean, throw in yours too, because you can share this to your LinkedIn as well, right? And to your I guess YouTube or Facebook as well. I don't know if you're able to do that, so we can just like.
Yeah, I shared the LinkedIn link in a bunch of folks. That's how Philip found us. And so, this is good. Let's pick a time. Like I said, I love our conversation. Let's pick some times on Fridays and just chat. What we got, we put out there.
Fireside Fridays?
Yes, sir.
Whatever. Ask me anything kind of thing. I mean, I'm gonna end it. Let's end it with this. I want to do more of a back and forth too. So, what are your thoughts on the world we live in?
I think it's right now scary. I think it's really interesting to see the human capital that's going to be challenged, and everybody's ability to stand up to do what's right. And I think we're seeing leadership being tested. I think we're seeing young people that are confused because words like war shouldn't be in our vocabulary in 2022, man, coming off the back of a pandemic. And so I think it's really interesting time. So, all we can really focus on is making sure if everybody operates from love and humility and real empathy to everybody they meet, we have a chance of creating a ripple effect force. And that's what I'm doing anyways. As many people as I can extend my arm to, my hand to go, how can I help more than how can you help me? That's the way I'm hoping to, make a difference.
Yeah. No, it's, I think, a lot of people need to start looking a little bit outward. I mean, obviously everyone's been kind of, in a bit of a shell, in a bit of a, hunkering down, isolating, lockdown, whatever, right? I think now we need to get out and be back as somewhat as a community as a whole, right? Not just kind of in and
more than ever. And maybe it is, maybe this talk of a war is is the opposite of the pandemic that we need, where we come out of our shells. And the pandemic forced us into these bubbles. And maybe in this hopefully not a war, we as humans can just unite. You know, we as humans can unite now around a common cause and sort of take care of each other. So I'm hoping for the best, man. So hopefully next week when we chat, it'll be a much better world.
So let's do it. We're gonna make it official Fridays. We'll come up with a name over the next week. We'll do Friday sort of, I don't know, midday. As I said, move to the West Coast. So it's right now. What time is it there? Noon or
6 o'clock for me. Yeah.
Okay, so it's 3 here. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out where the 3 hours goes. Because I'm used to it being the other way, right? Being in Toronto, where it's like, yeah. Anyways, now I've lost the 3, or I'm gaining it, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Anyways,
you're gaining it, man. You still got more time.
It's still mid-afternoon, right? Like,
yeah. Technically, you can service anybody you need in Toronto till 5 o'clock and still have the rest of your day.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's good time. So
cool, man. Let's make it again on next week. I'm down. Let's, I want to keep chatting and supporting, and I think it's good times.
I mean, I think there's a lot. I mean, this is more of an introductory one, but I think there's so many topics we could talk on. I think we'll start to, itemize it. Maybe I can put some graphics together and stuff like that, where, we'll shoot the shit and sort of, come up with different topics: crypto, blockchain, metaverse, all those different things that you're working on, I'm working on.
Next Friday, I'll tell you how I got scammed $5,000 on crypto last week.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I was going to actually ask you on WhatsApp the other day, we didn't get into it, but like, that's crazy. So we'll leave it on that note. $5,000.
Just like that.
From your MetaMask, right? Which is crazy. Yeah.
Just like that. I went to bed happy. I woke up sad. Just like that.
Wow. It's crazy. I think, you know what? We'll put that on the docket for next week. Discuss how it happened. Maybe have you maybe leave them? Have you found a solution to maybe?
All I can say is you want to pay attention next week, because I'm going to save you $5,000. So
there you go.
Let's go.
Or $500,000, depending on, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, Satish, thank you. Justin Fox, Satish Bala. I don't know what we're calling the show, but thanks for joining me here live. Peace out.